Donald Trump has unlawfully deployed the military to the streets of an American city to intimidate, threaten, harass, and trample the First Amendment free speech rights of the American people. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, after a federal judge in California ruled that Donald Trump violated federal law by deploying the military to the streets of Los Angeles, Donald Trump has done it again, deploying military troops to the streets of Portland, Oregon. This move represents a knowing, intentional, flagrant, and unapologetic violation of federal law. Again. But the only good news is that the state of Oregon has already sued Donald Trump in an effort to put a stop to it. Let's start with the new reporting. This from Politico. Headline: Oregon sues to block Trump from deploying state's National Guard in Portland. Local law enforcement has this under control, the governor said. And that article begins: Oregon and its largest city, Portland, are suing to block President Donald Trump from deploying the state's National Guard, calling it an unconstitutional abuse of power. Quote, far from promoting public safety, defendants, Trump's, provocative and arbitrary actions threaten to undermine public safety by inciting a public outcry, the state and city contended in the lawsuit filed Sunday in federal court in Portland. Quote, I think this is a sad day for our country, a sad day for Oregon, that the President of the United States does not listen to local leaders about what they need, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek, a Democrat, told reporters during a video conference shortly after the suit was filed. Quote, when the president and I spoke yesterday, I told him in very plain language, there is no insurrection or threat to public safety that necessitates military intervention in Portland or any other city in our state, Governor Kotek said. Putting our own military on our streets is an abuse of power. Local law enforcement has this under control. Quote, it's actually un-American, if you think about it, to use the military against our own citizens, but that's exactly what's happening right now across our country, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield, a Democrat, told the press conference. He said his office plans to file within the next day for a temporary restraining order against the deployment. The lawsuit follows Trump's announcement on social media Saturday that he was ordering the Defense Department to send troops to Portland to use full force, if necessary, to combat protests that he said were interfering with immigration enforcement. Trump describes the decision as the result of a request from Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Oregon officials say the Pentagon followed through on Trump's order on Sunday morning, calling up 200 members of the state's 6,500-member National Guard contingent. State officials say even the relatively small call-up could damage the state's ability to respond to emergencies. Lawyers for the state say protests against immigration and customs enforcement have been small and relatively subdued, routinely featuring fewer than 30 people, and that there have been no arrests related to those protests from June until early this week. Governor Kotek said Trump told her by phone Saturday he'd heard of multiple fires and of the federal courthouse in downtown Portland being besieged, which she said may be based on the president watching a video of unrest 5 years ago. Quote, We cannot be looking at footage from 2020 and assume that that is the case today in Portland, the governor said, giving Donald Trump a third-grade tutorial, with apologies to third graders, all my editorial addition. The Oregon officials called the president's move a pretext that is likely to inflame tensions, draw larger and more unruly protests, and force the city and state to use more police resources. Quote, defendants Trump's unlawful federalization and deployment of Oregon National Guard members infringes on Oregon's sovereign interest in managing law enforcement within its borders, including the authority to manage protests and unrest, Rayfield and Portland City Attorney Robert Taylor wrote in the new lawsuit. You know, friends, Donald Trump is unlawfully and unconstitutionally pitting American citizen against American citizen. He's pitting soldiers against civilians. He's pitting military members against members of the Portland community. Donald Trump is trying to orchestrate a civil war when there is no need for one, there is no reason for one, there is no cause for one, there is no exigency that needs to be addressed. Donald Trump is creating civil unrest. He's encouraging chaos. He is inspiring division. And friends, I think we can even reasonably infer that Donald Trump is goading and even hoping for violence. And the courts have got to put a stop to it, and we have to do everything we can peacefully to put a stop to it, because justice matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.